Have you ever ended up losing a game because you overlooked a simple tactic? If you are, then you know how much painful it is. As a beginner chess player, there is no point in memorizing hundreds of opening variations or knowing many number of theoretical endgames. The most important area to work are tactics and calculation. In this video, you are going to learn and solve one of the most important tactics in chess, that is spin. For each puzzle, I am going to give 10 seconds just to keep the video short, but feel free to pause the video according to your needs. This is Arun from the INTP YouTube channel. Without further ado, let's get started. As you can see in the diagram, the rook is pinning the bishop with the king. In chess, actually there are two types of pin. One is absolute pin and another one is relative pin. In absolute pin, the king is the back piece. So the rook is the pinning piece, the bishop is the pinned piece and the king is the back piece. So in absolute pin, the back piece is the king. And in the relative pin, the back piece higher value pieces. So here you can see the rook is moving to e1 and pinning the bishop. Not every pin is going to win material. Here, even after pinning the bishop, black plays d5 and the bishop is protected now. If you capture, the pawn will recapture. So here you can see the queen is pinning the pawn on c7 with the king. This is absolute pin. And the bishop is pinning the knight with the king. This is also an absolute pin. So according to the rules, the pawn as well as the knight on f3 should not move. So here you can see some potential threats. The bishop can move to c5 and pin the queen with the king, and here the rook can move to f7 and pin the queen with the king. Here we have an example for relative pin. The rook is pinning the knight with the queen, but if black wants, he can move the knight. But in case of absolute pin, you are not supposed to move the pinned piece. In relative pin, you can move the pinned piece, but it depends upon the position. Here you can see the bishop is pinning the knight with the rook. So now I hope you have got a little bit of understanding about the pins. So what we are going to do, we are going to solve few more puzzles just to deepen the understanding. In this position, it's white to play. So I'm going to give you 10 seconds. If you want, you can feel free to pause the video. Here the answer is rook e1, pinning the queen with the king. We'll move to the next one. So here it's black to play. Can you find the winning combination? Okay. The answer is bishop d5, pinning. So once the bishop pins, the king moves, then we can capture the rook. We'll move on to the next one. Here it's white to play and win. Okay, the answer is bishop to b5, pinning the queen with the king. We'll move on to the next one. So in this position, there is no direct pin, but you have to set up a pin by a small combination. Okay, since there is no direct pin in this position, white has to play rook into knight. So if black did not recapture, he will simply a piece down. But if he captures back, then it's white to play again. What he can play bishop to d3, pinning the rook with the king. We move on to the next one. In this position, it's black to play and win. Okay. The answer is bishop to c7, pinning the rook with the king. We'll go to the next one. Okay, in this position, it's white to play and win. Okay, the answer is queen to a1, pinning the rook with the king. So once the king moves, then we can capture the rook. We'll move on to the next one. In this position, it's white to play and win. This is a simple one. White can play rook to d4, pinning the knight with the king with a winning position. In this position, it's white to play. So the question is, the knight is pinned. How to win this pinned knight on c6? Your time starts now. The answer is pretty much simple. White can play c6. The knight cannot move. Knight is pinned by the bishop. This is absolute pin and he is going to lose this knight. We'll move on to the next one. In this position, it's black to play and to win. Your time starts now. Okay, the answer is bishop to b4, pinning the queen with the king. This is absolute pin. We'll move to the next one. In this position, it's black to play again. Your time starts now. Okay, the answer is bishop to c7, pinning the rook. But white will play king f4. So what do you have to do now? So if you capture the rook directly, the king will recapture and white is a pawn up. So what black can do, he can play king f6, attacking the rook once more. So now the rook cannot move. If white plays c5, then we can simply capture the bishop. We'll move on to the next one. So in this position, it's white to play and win. Can you find out? Your time starts now. Okay, the answer is rook a8, pinning the queen with the king. We'll move to the next one. So in this position, it's white to play and win. The time starts now. Okay, the answer is rook to e1, pinning the queen with the king with the winning position for white. We'll go to the next one. So in this position, it's white to play. Your time starts now. Okay, white can play queen to a4, pinning the knight with the king, and it's winning for white. We'll move on to the next one. So in this position, it's white to play and win the game. Your time starts now. The answer is queen a4, pinning the rook. So if black plays a6, now how to continue? Very simple. Play c5 and win this rook. We'll go to the next one. So in this position, it's white to play. How to proceed? Your time starts now. Okay. So what white can do, he can simply capture the pawn, and if it is black, you should not capture this knight back. If he captures, then what we can do? Yes, white can play bishop to c4, pinning the queen with the king. We'll move on to the next one. It's white to play and how to continue. Okay. As you can see, the pawn on c5 is pinned. So white can play knight captures pawn on b4. The black cannot recapture. If he captures, then the bishop will capture the bishop. White will get an extra pawn. We'll move on to the next one. So in this position, it's white to play and how to continue now. So white can play knight into pawn. Actually in this position black should castle, but instead if black captures, then white can play rook e1, pinning the queen with the king with the winning position. We'll move on to the next one. It's white to play and how to continue. The answer is simple. You can see the knight is pinned by our bishop with the king. What you have to do, we have to simply push this pawn, and if black continues with a6, then we can capture this pawn, and if black captures, we can capture the bishop. We'll get an extra piece. We'll move on to the next one. So it's white to play and how to continue. The answer is queen to h4. Now the king has moved to the g7 square, protecting the knight second time. So how to continue now? Yes, the answer is simple. Play rook f1. So you can see queen, bishop and the rook all are attacking this knight. Only king and the queen is protecting. So the attacker is more than the defender. Eventually the white will win this knight. It's white to play in this position. As you can see, the pawn on g6 is pinned. So how to exploit the pin on the g6 pawn? The time starts now. The answer is queen to h5 check. Once the king moves, we can capture this pawn. King h8 and queen h7 is a checkmate. If you like this video, please hit the like button and share this video with your friends, and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. Bye for now.